What's up, my dudes, and welcome back to another adventure in the Panda Chronicles. On today's adventure, we're going to be talking about John Wayne Gacy, aka the Killer Clown. John Wayne Gacy was born March 17th, 1942 in Chicago, Illinois. It is said that his parents are both Danish and Polish. John's father was very abusive. He would often beat them with a razor strap if they ever misbehave or talked back to him in any way. They also witnessed their mother getting beat by him as well. And it is said that his sister Karen in an interview said that with the beatings they were taught to toughen up, and that John finally got to a point where he just didn't cry anymore whenever he was getting a beating, which that's just like getting beat so much that you just don't cry anymore. It doesn't hurt you anymore. It doesn't affect you because it happens so often. And then at school, he was alienated from the kids because he had a heart condition. And then his father beat him even more because he felt like he was failing his father. Like, his father thought that he was a failure, so he beat him even more with that. During middle school and high school, John Wayne Gacy really battled with his sexuality. He didn't know if he liked women. He didn't know if he was attracted to men. He just kind of battled with it. Because, back then, being gay wasn't a thing. It was not. It was very bad back then. It was looked down upon a lot, and a lot of people just didn't accept it like they do today. John Wayne Gacy worked in fast food for a while in the 1960s, and then he eventually quit and became a building contractor and a Democratic precinct captain in the Chicago suburbs of 1970s. John Wayne Gacy was very liked in his community. He always organized all of the cultural gatherings and fundraisers, and he was involved with a lot of stuff with his community. He was married twice and divorced twice. He had 2 biological children as well as 2 stepdaughters. Gacy was also a frequent member of the Joker Jolly Clown Club in the Chicago area. He would often perform at charities and, fundraisers and birthday parties or any occasion that they asked him to. And he would dress up as a clown, the makeup, costume, everything. And whenever he did kill, sometimes he did kill his victims dressed as his alter ego. He had 2 names. It was either Pogo the Clown or Patches the Clown. In 1968, John Wayne Gacy was accused of sexual assault of a teenage boy. He was sentenced 10 years in jail, but he was released on parole in the summer of 1970. The year after that, in 1971, he would be accused of raping 2 more teen boys. In 1971, John Wayne Gacy would also be accused again of another boy of sexual assault, but it never went to trial because the teenage boy eventually ended up dropping the charges against John Wayne Gacy. In the middle of 1970, John Wayne Gacy was also accused of raping 2 other boys. He was questioned by police, but nothing ever happened. He was questioned about the disappearance of other teenage boys. On December 11th, 1978, a 15-year-old boy named Robert Byeee, I think, I'm probably going to butcher the names, I do apologize if that is not the correct saying of it, went missing. It was reported to police that Robert was last seen at work before leaving to go meet John Wayne Gacy about a construction job. When the police heard this previous charge of sexual assault and they had him as a suspect for other missing young boys, 10 days after hearing about the disappearance of Robert, the police issued a search warrant and searched John Wayne Gacy's house. His house was horrifying. They found numerous bodies of young boys in his crawl space. And after this, it was discovered that John Wayne Gacy made his very first kill in 1972 after luring 16-year-old Timothy McCoy to his house for a construction job. The police found several trenches filled with human remains in his crawl space, and when they took him in, he admitted to killing 33 young males. Over the years, it has been a major concern that John Wayne Gacy was involved with other crimes, but their bodies have not yet been found. When They found all the bodies in the crawl space. 8 of the victims could not be identified at all. Recently, Cook County Police have been using DNA evidence to identify the victims. In 2017, DNA revealed the identity of victim number 24. It was proven to be 16-year-old James Byron Hackinson, I think it is. Hackinson. I'm butchering it, I do apologize. Everyone called him Jimmy. In 1976, Jimmy left Minnesota and traveled to Chicago, Illinois. When he got there on August 5th, he called his mom and let her know he made it safely. The police believe that John Wayne Gacy, shortly thereafter, found him, assaulted him, and murdered him. In 1979, Jimmy's mother contacted the Cook County Police and asked if her son was one of the victims. And she didn't have any dental records, so they could never prove his identity. They didn't know. So it was left lingering there until 2017. I can't imagine knowing that my son went missing and this person, where he was at, John Wayne Gacy lived in Chicago, Illinois, and her son was in Chicago, but he never contacted her again, he never called her again, and then you see on the news that this man has bodies under his house, and they're of young teenage boys. The fear that would set in is, from 1979 until 2017, she did not know if her son was dead. She did not know where he was. All she did was just have a thought in her head. That breaks my heart. Jimmy's mother died in early 2000s. So other family members got his DNA to the police, and they did in fact prove that it was Jimmy. Gacy's trial began on February 6, 1980. He did confess to the murders of all the bodies they did find in his house. But now the arguments were focused on if he was insane and should be committed to a psychiatric hospital, or if he is just evil and he knew and he just did it for fun. Gacy at first told the authorities that his alter ego, the clown, Pogo the clown or Patches or whatever, killed all of those little boys. That it was not Gacy who did it, it was the personality of the clown. So with that being said, they had to give him a mental evaluation, and that ultimately ended up him being sane. He was able to understand what he did. He didn't have a personality. It was him who committed it. He knew what he was doing, and he knew he was guilty for it. Gacy was ultimately found guilty of committing 33 murders. He became known as one of the most ruthless serial killers in the U.S. He was sentenced to serve 12 death sentences and 21 natural life sentences. Gacy was sentenced to, I think it's Menard Correctional Center in Chicago, Illinois. He spent a decade and a half trying to appeal his sentencing. While he did confess to all of the murders, he later started to say that he was innocent, that he never did it, and he should never be guilty because he just didn't do it. But my thing is, they found the bodies in your house, under your house, that only you have access to. So I don't really understand his thought process on that one. That's your house that you live in, and just you, and you have the keys, no one else, and there just happens to be all those people down there, and you just didn't notice it all? Okay. John Wayne Gacy was executed by lethal injection on May 10th, 1994 at Stateville Correctional Center in Crest Hill, Illinois. While John Wayne Gacy was in prison, he also started to study art and the vision of art. So he actually started painting his alter ego, Pogo the Clown. And they were actually shown at a photo exhibit, or a painting exhibit in Chicago, Illinois. In 2017, Chicago shipped the paintings and artworks to the UK to be auctioned off. 2 of his paintings, called I Am Pogo the Clown and They Call Him Mr. Gacy, as well as crime scene photos from his trial, were auctioned off and went for €4,000, which is $4,417, I believe. I had to look it up. But that's a lot of money for people to be buying that stuff. That's crazy. John Wayne Gacy's house was located at 8213 West Somerdale Avenue in Northwood Park, just east of Chicago's O'Hare National Airport. On several occasions, the neighbors and family members also stated that the house just had an overwhelming odor to it, which is because of the dead bodies. But John Wayne Gacy would always say, it's just mold or rodents. He knew where the smell was coming from. A simple one-story house in the middle of a middle-class neighborhood, John Wayne Gacy set up a trap door to lead to his crawl space. So it wasn't just like, oh, this is a door, everyone can see it. It was a trap door that no one could see, but John Wayne Gacy knew it was there. That is how he disposed of his victims. He either put them in the crawl space or he either buried them in the backyard, and sometimes it has been stated that he dumped them at Des Plaines River or Des Plaines River. I'm gonna butcher these names, I do apologize. When John Wayne Gacy was arrested in 1978, the house was searched for evidence, and after that it ended up being demolished. While the house was being demolished, a construction worker who was helping with demolishing the house, stated, "If the devil is alive, he lived here." A new house has been built and is now in the spot where John Wayne Gacy's house is. John Wayne Gacy was also the idea for American Horror Story when they did Twisty the Clown on Freak Show.